how are you tonight? We are trying to get cleaned up and ready for our next camping trip, but I've had some trouble finding a good way to clean our Genesis stove by Jetboil. There's nothing online that I can find anywhere that says exactly how to clean it. So I've had to experiment a little bit to figure out how to get it clean. And as you know, camping stoves are not cheap. So we'd like to keep this in tip-top shape as long as we can. So what I figured out, it's a little time consuming, time is your friend, but as you can see, it does work. So the way I started was, you want to remove your grate and just wipe out with a paper towel any excess debris that might be able to be wiped off by hand. Get it out of your way. And we've been using this for the last year, pretty heavy duty. We did 30 days on the road and then, many weeks on weekends out camping. So this has been used pretty much for every meal. So it is well used. So it has taken a beating. How's that? It was a total of 48 nights, I guess, that we used this thing. So with that being said, so you'll use this, you'll need white vinegar, I prefer Dawn soap because it's really good with grease. I know it sounds silly, a couple dryer sheets, a marker of some sort, a pair of scissors, and gloves. And I suggest wearing gloves because the water is hot, and once you mix the soap and the vinegar, it's kind of smelly and you don't really want to smell like vinegar. So let's get started. I just pour a good amount of soap in the bottom. We want it pretty thick. And I cheated. I used teapot boiling water so I didn't have to run the water.
Cheater.
Yeah, well, it's quicker. And it's hotter. Let that sit for a second. Let it mix. I use a spoon, mix it up. And be careful too, because there's that little hole in here. You don't want to get too much water down in there because it's going to take extra time for that to dry out. And you don't want to damage the stove itself. Like I said, I don't know how else to clean this. There isn't anything out there, but it looks pretty good for the first time cleaning it from last year. I trace around this a little bit so I know where to cut it out so it lays down flat, because you want the dryer sheet as flat as you can get it. There's something to do with the softener factor in this that actually helps soften the grime in the stove. And I don't know exactly what it is, honestly. I'm not a scientist by any means, but you know, I've heard it being done on different things, so I figured that I'd try it on this just to see, because scrubbing is not the answer by any means. And then also it's a little nylon sponge that I found that I use, because you can't use anything that's abrasive on this. It'll scratch it up pretty bad. And I just trim it down a little bit so it can lay down flat. And then I'll customize it a little bit more. Like I said, time is your friend on this, because it is a little time consuming. Thanks for the help, puppies. But do them separate directions. Make sure to do it separate directions. That way you get more coverage. Okay, so now I'm going to take your hot water and soap and just kind of pour it over the top. But like I said, be careful. You really don't want to get anything down in there if you can help it. I did a little bit. But when I rinsed it off at the end, I tipped it upside down into the sink and let it drain out for a little while. And then once this lays down a little bit, you can see where else to trim it for all these little crazy corners that it has. And I went pretty liberal on this. Now I'll put the gloves on because I don't want to be pushing it around with the vinegar. It gets a little smelly. You might want to keep a paper towel close by in case you need to soak up a little bit of water, because I did a little bit more than I should have. I kind of try to keep it as much close to the base as possible. That way I have plenty of room for the vinegar. And like I said, very liberal. We're gonna let this soak for a couple of hours, and we'll be back and see where we're at. One thing I forgot to tell you though is for your griddle, your rack, whatever it's called, start soaking it at the same time. But be really careful though, because these, I'm not sure what this is made of, but it will rust if you don't keep it dry once you take it out of the water. So if you want to do it in the bucket or the sink, I'm going to do it in the sink. I'm just going to put more soapy water in, hot soapy water. And I just went right over, just over the top. And then of course, more vinegar. And I just filled it just barely over the top of it to let it soak. And it worked like a dream. Well, we're back. Let's check it and see if it's ready to be scrubbed. So just try to soak up the water so you're not dripping all over yourself when you're picking this stuff up. And it is pretty sudsy, so be ready. Hold on to your dryer sheets though, just in case you need to do some more scrubbing. Let's see what we got here. Looks like I'm gonna have to add some more hot water to it. Let it soak a little bit longer, cooled off. But it is coming up. Our dog is snoring. It is working. But adding a little bit more hot water to it will help. Wow. And this nylon sponge is the nicest thing I've discovered for cleaning camp stuff in a long time. Maybe we should give a pack of these away.
Maybe we should.
There you go. Really convenient, and it's not abrasive. So stay tuned. I'm going to add a little bit of hot water to this. Let it soak a little bit longer, but it's working. One step I missed. Added hot water back to it, but forgot to put the bounce sheets back on. So you want to remember that, because for some reason it works. Okay, well, I've taken out the bounce sheets. He's been doing a little time lapse of me scrubbing. This side was a little bit dirtier than that, or I don't know, being a little bit more stubborn, but I'll show you that it's much better than it was.
Yeah, it's really just a couple spots.
Yeah, it's just, and it's just scrubbing, and it's just time is your friend when it comes to this. the soaking in the hot water. The hot water definitely makes a difference than just putting regular soapy water. And some of these angles are not so easy to get into either.
Nooks and crannies.
Yes.
But what do you think of this stove overall?
I love the stove. I love this stove. It's been just the most dependable and easy to store. Takes up minimal space. And we have the satellite stove that hooks up to it too. So I have actually 3 burners if I need it, which has been handy in certain circumstances. So stay tuned. I'm going to spend a couple minutes and scrub this down, and then we'll scrub down the grate for the top. It's been soaking, and that's coming off quite easily. Well, here it is. Much better than it was before. Of course, time is your friend. If you have more time to let it soak, you could probably get it even cleaner than this. And I probably will try cleaning it again after our next couple of trips, just to try to stay on top of it this time. But if you like this video and it was informative for you, please like and subscribe to our channel and comment below. We'd really appreciate your help. Take care. We'll see you down the road.